Part 14. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wu Nian. Chapter 131. Chen Mu flew past, and his huge body was covered with armor again. Bang, bang, bang. One bomber after another exploded. The pilot of the bomber in the front saw the giant bird flying behind him through the rear-view mirror, and watched the bombers explode one by one. He pulled the device suddenly. The door of the bomber's driver's seat opened directly. The pilot was ejected and fell down. The parachute opened. Bang. The moment the parachute opened, the bomber above exploded. The giant bird covered with biological armor flew over the pilot. The pilot raised his face and looked at the giant bird in the distance, and he swallowed his saliva. He prayed in his heart, "Go, go quickly, don't come back, don't come back." Suddenly, the giant bird flapped its wings. It turned around, its eyes fell on the pilot, and flew towards the pilot. The pilot's pupils trembled slightly, and his face changed drastically. But he was suspended in the air by a parachute, and he had no chance to struggle at all. He wanted to untie the parachute, but when he looked down and saw the grassland thousands of meters away from him, his face turned pale. At such a high position, if he untied the parachute, he would have only one possibility, that is death. He raised his face to look at the giant bird, and the scene he saw made his pupils shrink suddenly. The giant bird was close enough to him. "No! No!" the pilot shouted and struggled violently. He untied the parachute in horror. As soon as it was untied, the pilot's body fell from a high altitude. Chen Mu was flying in the air, looking at the pilot. The pilot shouted from thousands of meters high. "No!" Boom! The whole body fell to the ground. Because it was too high, the pilot's body was directly broken into several pieces, bleeding and silent. Chen Mu retracted his sight, flapped his wings, and went back. His purpose of coming here was to destroy the human command center. Originally, he didn't bother to pay attention to these humans, but these humans provoked him again and again, which made him very unhappy. So, Chen Mu didn't want to be monitored anymore, and he also wanted to punish them a little. So he killed the guys who bothered him, destroyed their headquarters and slaughtered all the two-legged apes staying in the headquarters. But Chen Mu didn't expect that these guys would actually send bombers to bomb him. What a group of annoying guys, but it's also expected. His existence will inevitably attract the attention of humans and will inevitably arouse the prying hearts of humans. These are inevitable and unavoidable. At the same time, next to the lion bull ant queen, 6 lion bull ant eggs cracked. 6 winged lion bull ant queens and ant kings flapped their huge wings and flew up, and flew away in the blink of an eye. Soon, more than 1,000 other eggs also cracked, and more than 1,000 winged male ants flapped their wings and left. Chen Mu returned to the place where the lion bull ant queen was. He slowly landed on the grass beside him and looked at the eggs laid by the lion bull ants. "Where are the eggs of the king and queen ants and those male ants?" Chen Mu muttered. He looked around, but didn't see them. Forget it, Chen Mu was too lazy to pay attention. He slowly lay down and prepared to rest. As for the king and queen ants, he would solve them when there was a problem. It doesn't matter. Chen Mu lay on the grass and looked at his red feathers. It seems that I can start to locate the biological armor and the ability of rapid self-healing now. Although Chen Mu had biological armor and rapid self-healing before, he basically couldn't feel the limits of these two abilities because the enemies he encountered were too weak. The biological armor is very strong and can withstand several missile attacks from bombers. You have to know that every missile carried by the bomber can easily destroy a high-rise building when it falls, and the terrifying temperature generated by the explosion of the missile can even melt steel. The hardness and high temperature resistance of biological armor are obviously very strong, otherwise the biological armor will be destroyed in an instant. The extremely fast self-healing will start to repair the moment it senses that Chen Mu's body is injured, and this perception and repair both take time. After all, the name of the ability is extremely fast self-healing, not instant self-healing. Facing the bombardment of hundreds of missiles with terrifying destructive power, Chen Mu, who lost his biological armor, was instantly destroyed and melted by high temperature and shock waves. Even extremely fast self-healing can't catch up with that melting speed. But the strength of extremely fast self-healing shocked Chen Mu. Just as the system said, even if Chen Mu's head and heart are gone, extremely fast self-healing can also make Chen Mu recover, and it is an extremely fast recovery. With extremely fast self-healing, as long as it is not completely transformed into molecules, or even if it is transformed into molecules, it can probably heal itself. Chen Mu muttered, "It's really a bug-level ability. But why did it turn red?" Chen Mu looked at his body. He found that his feathers had turned red like flames, and he looked like he was covered in flames. Peacocks do have red feathers. Although Chen Mu turned into that giant bird, the giant bird also has peacock genes. This looks like the genes have mutated again. In other words, will excessively fast self-healing lead to genetic instability and genetic mutation? Chen Mu muttered. But, if that's the case, will the rapid self-healing lead to genetic deterioration and then lead to my death? If that's the case, it's a headache. Extremely fast self-healing has no possibility of genetic deterioration, you can rest assured. The system's mechanical voice sounded in Chen Mu's mind. Hearing this voice, Chen Mu breathed a sigh of relief. With systematic guarantee, he felt relieved. Although the system sometimes doesn't say anything, as long as it does, there can be no problems. Chen Mu closed his eyes. After a busy day, it's time to take a break. Have I become lazy lately? Forget it, I'm too lazy to think about it. At the same time, on top of the helicopter, Tang looked at the picture displayed on the laptop screen. The picture was a black pit. She looked away and looked at Chi. "What are you going to do?" Chi slowly sat on the chair, closed her eyes, and crossed her arms with her chest. The phoenix is a phoenix that can be reborn from the fire. It is impossible to kill it. Chi slowly opened his mouth and said, "I will persuade the king to give up the idea of taking action against it." Tang was slightly startled, but, will the king agree? Chi said, "Don't we have a video? Show this video to him. I think he will know the consequences." She turned her face sideways, looked at the scenery outside the helicopter, and said, "Your teacher is right, humans cannot fight against nature." Tang looked at Chi. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 132. When all queen ants lay eggs, they give birth to new queens and new kings. These queens and kings will fly far away from the nest to mate with virgin queens and kings of other groups, and mate in the air. Humans call it flying marriage. Afterwards, the queen ant will fall to the ground and bite off her wings, while the king ant will die after mating. Some people say that it is natural for new queens and kings to leave their original nests to prevent the union of close relatives. Lion cow ants inherit the ant genes of army ants, so they naturally have this habit. The lion cow queen ants and lion cow king ants that left kept flying. Look for queens and kings of other colonies. But the problem is that the lion ant is managed by Chen Mu, so only one nest will breed these queens and kings. Of course, life finds its own way. After a lion ant queen flew for a full day, she finally met a lion ant king. After the flying wedding is over, the lion, bull, and ant king lost their lives and died. The lion cow queen, which looked completely different from the lion cow queen raised by Chen Mu, also fell to the ground and bit off its own wings with its giant pliers. Then start digging holes in the ground. Soon, it dug a hole and got in. After the queen ants of some species fly to marry, they will dig a hole, go deep into the ground, and then open a burrow underground. Then they breed in burrows. Then the hole slowly turned into a nest as the number of other ants increased. It is impossible for army ants to build their own nests, so the queen of army ants will not behave like this after flying. However, it is unknown how much of the habits of the army ants the lion cow ants have after genetic mutation. The nest is surrounded by tall and yellow weeds. There is a path beside the weeds. A woman wearing shabby clothes and shabby shoes holds the hand of the child next to her and walks along the path while talking and laughing. In front of the path is an old small village. Time passes day by day. After 4 days, a lion ant with horns poked its huge head out of the nest. It looked around, and its eyes fell on the small village in the distance. It moved towards the village. Behind it, swarms of lion cow ants came out of their nests and spread out in a mighty manner. A group of lion ants entered the village. Ah! Screams and panicked calls echoed throughout the village. Without Chen Mu's management, these lion ants frantically expanded their territory. For lion ants, except for the inedible, everything else is food. Animals are food, people are food, and plants are food. As soon as there is more food, the lion cow queen ant will produce new queens and kings and spread to other places. These lion cow ants seem to think that the creatures with 2 legs are more delicious food, and there are a lot of them, so the territories expanded by these lion cow ants are targeted to areas with many humans. The place where these lion ants are located is the territory of Jiaolan Kingdom. Originally, the senior officials of Jiaolan state focused on Chen Mu, who turned into a phoenix, but with the invasion of lion ants, Jiaolan state immediately focused on these monsters who were killing people crazily. Bombers with various weapons began to bomb these lion ants. The war begins. It was a war between humans and lions, bulls, and ants. Other side. But Chen Mu didn't know this. He continued his breeding business as before. When the food in one area is gone, replace it with another. Every 15 days, Chen Mu used his devouring ability to devour these lion ants. In a blink of an eye, half a year has passed. During this period of time, those guys from Jiaolangguo did not continue to trouble Chen Mu. Chen Mu was a little strange. Logically speaking, if I did that, those people in Jiaolangguo would not let me go. Even if they don't attack me, they wouldn't give up monitoring and studying me. Well, forget it. Chen Mu flapped his huge wings and soared in the sky, feeling the wind coming towards him. If you have nothing to do, it would be better to fly. Through his conscious vision, Chen Mu noticed a small thing. It was in a small forest, and there was a small oil-green snake on one of the small trees as thick as a bowl. The little snake was coiled motionless on the tree, its eyes staring straight ahead. In front of the little snake, a bird stood there, seemingly resting. The little snake approached the bird quietly, very slowly, and made almost no sound. Suddenly, the little snake suddenly jumped out, very fast. Catch the bird with one bite. The bird struggled hard and flapped its wings, but after a few flaps, it stopped moving. The little snake slowly opened its mouth and swallowed the bird bit by bit. The hunt lasted less than a second from the moment the snake attacked to the end. The bird was larger than the slender snake, but it died soon after being attacked by the snake. Obviously it was not bitten to death, but poisoned to death. African snakes live in trees, Chen Mu muttered. African tree snakes. The African tree snake is a highly venomous snake. If a human is bitten by it, the blood will not coagulate, and the person will bleed from all 7 orifices of the body, and the internal organs will also bleed heavily. The death process is slow but very painful. Within a few hours, an adult will die. The African tree snake is slender and good at camouflage. If you don't pay attention, it is difficult to tell that it is a snake. It eats some insects and birds. It is very good at ambushing. Of course, this thing is just food for the lion bull ant, but it was spared because it was located outside the range allowed by Chen Mu to leave. Seeing this thing, Chen Mu thought of a creature. The golden flower snake, also known as the flying snake. A snake that lives on trees like the tree snake. This snake uses the air to glide, so it is called a flying snake. However, this thing lives in the tropical rainforests of Southeast Asia, not in Africa. That thing left a deep impression on Chen Mu. Chen Mu was too lazy to think about it or pay more attention to it. He was most concerned about another thing now. Chen Mu's current evolutionary energy has accumulated over so much time and is now close to tens of millions, but the evolutionary energy required for the next evolution is still too little. What should I do? Chen Mu thought. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, Chen Mu heard a noise. Hearing this noise, Chen Mu looked over there and saw a helicopter slowly approaching this side. Seeing the helicopter, Chen Mu couldn't help but frowned. Looking for death again? Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will deal with it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 133. The helicopter descended slowly. Stopped at the place where Chen Mu rested, 2 kilometers away. A girl stepped out of the helicopter. The girl looked to be in her early 20s. This girl is the researcher named Tang. Tang raised his face and looked at Chen Mu, who was flying in mid-air. Looking at the mythical beast with flaming feathers in the distance. Tang plucked up the courage and slowly approached Chen Mu. Chen Mu knew this person. He had seen this woman at the Human Command Center through his conscious vision before. Not dead? Chen Mu thought she had died from his attack. Chen Mu had a little question. After half a year, these humans came to find me again. They should have seen their own anger and their own strength. I have also warned them not to disturb me, but why are they coming to find me again now? Strange. With this question in mind, Chen Mu flapped his wings and approached Tang. Before Chen Mu could reach him, Tang felt the oncoming strong wind. Looking at the huge mythical beast phoenix in front of her, which was as big as a mountain, Tang's face turned pale. She suppressed her fear and slowly knelt down in front of Chen Mu. The grassland was full of stones, but she just knelt down. Not only did she kowtow to Chen Mu, then she lowered her head and shouted one sentence with the greatest strength in her life. Please forgive the people of Jialan Kingdom and take back your anger. The people of Jialan Kingdom are innocent. When Chen Mu heard this, he flapped his wings, stretched out his paws, stepped on the grassland, adjusted his posture, and looked down at the tiny human below. He had doubts. What is this guy talking about? Anger. The people of Jialan Kingdom. While speaking, Tang had closed her eyes. She was mentally prepared to die when she came here. The mythical beast in front of her would most likely kill her outright like it killed her teacher. Therefore, she could only say what she wanted to say before she died. But after waiting for a while, the strong wind next to him stopped, and he didn't feel any pain. She slowly opened her eyes. Her forehead and face were covered with sweat, and her face was pale. It was obviously the dry season and the temperature was very high, but Tang felt the biting cold. It was the intense fear coming from his heart, the fear of death. Fear had already engulfed her when she first saw the beast, but for the sake of Jiao Langguo and the people behind her, she could only muster the courage to face her fear. She swallowed, trying to relieve the thirst in her throat. She raised her face and looked at the phoenix, a mythical beast as huge as a hill in front of her. The mythical beast in front of her was less than 10 meters away from her. It looked so huge and its eyes were so sharp. Tang couldn't tell what the divine beast phoenix looked like from the eyes of the phoenix in front of him. But Tang had no choice at the moment. No matter what his expression was, she could only say it. Tang Qiang suppressed his uneasiness, looked at Chen Mu, and said, "Master Divine Beast. In the past 6 months, the people of Jialan Kingdom have been bearing your anger all the time, and they have regretted provoking you all the time. The giant ants you released in Jialan Kingdom have been in the past 6 months. Over time, half of the Jialan Kingdom's territory was occupied, and all the tens of millions of people in the Jialan Kingdom became food for the giant ants. I think Jiao Langguo has accepted the due punishment and paid the due price for the mistakes he made half a year ago. Tang said, if Master Divine Beast still wants to get anything from Jiao Langguo, please tell Master Divine Beast directly and don't do it again. Massacre the citizens of Jialan Kingdom, please. As she spoke, she kowtowed to Chen Mu. Well, if there are such things as question marks in this world, Chen Mu could have 5 or 6 big question marks on his head at this moment. What? What does it mean? Chen Mu was stunned. What have I done? My anger? The giant ants I released? Occupying half of the territory of Jialan Kingdom and killing tens of millions of people? What is this guy talking about? What happened to Jialan Kingdom in the past 6 months? Chen Mu felt that he was doing breeding at home, but for no reason he hit himself on the head with a pot. Although Chen Mu was confused, from the outside, his demeanor remained unchanged. For a moment, Chen Mu didn't know what to say. After Tang kowtowed a few times, when she saw that Chen Mu had no response, she lowered her head and turned pale. The king of our country said that as long as you are willing to take back your anger, no matter what it is, as long as I, Jiao Lan, own it, as long as you want it, we will definitely bring it to you. Hearing this, Chen Mu's brain started to spin. Chen Mu is not stupid. Although he was a little confused at the first time, he figured it out the second time. The giant ant Tang mentioned should be the lion ant. It is estimated that without my knowledge, some of the lion and cow ants I raised ran outside and caused harm to humans. Thinking of this, Chen Mu couldn't help but flash in his mind the new queens and kings he saw when he came back half a year ago, as well as the 1,000 broken male ant eggs. The corner of Chen Mu's mouth twitched. Forget it, he doesn't think too much. The question is, how should I deal with this matter caused by my own negligence? Guys like Jiao Langguo are not good people. In the past 6 months, I thought that these guys let me go. Now it seems that it is probably because of the invasion of lion ants that they have to deal with the lion ants. However, Chen Mu really didn't expect that the lion bull ants would develop to this extent. Suddenly, Chen Mu's eyes lit up slightly. He realized something. In order to obtain endless evolutionary energy, Chen Mu had to limit the number of lion bull ants to avoid turning the grassland directly into a desert. The reason for doing so was that there was not enough food. But what about the escaped lion bull ants? Those lion bull ants slaughtered tens of millions of people in the past 6 months, so how many of them have reached? For Chen Mu, what does that number represent? The larger the number, the more evolutionary energy. Without any restrictions, the lion bull ants devoured food crazily, developed crazily, and reproduced crazily. In the past 6 months, what extent have they achieved? If they are swallowed, how much evolutionary energy can be obtained? Chen Mu only felt that at this moment, his blood was boiling. Devour. Energy. Chen Mu seemed to have seen an extremely huge gold mine to be mined. Chen Mu was so happy. He suppressed his joy and looked at Tang, who was looking down and trembling slightly because of fear. He thought, I have to say something now. What should I say? These guys seem to think I am the devil who released these lion ox ant. Don't admit it? From the perspective of those people in Jialan country, I guess I can't clear myself even if I jump into the Milky Way. If I can't clear myself, I might as well admit it. In this way, although I will change from a so-called divine beast to a fierce beast, I can also establish my prestige. Let those people fear me. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 134. Chen Mu looked at Tang and said slowly, it seems that death has made you sober a lot. Tang raised his face, and tears could be seen on his pale face. Chen Mu said lightly, "Lead the way, take me to your country, and I will take back the natural disaster." Hearing this, Tang's eyes suddenly lit up. Yes. She stood up and turned to look at the helicopter in the distance. She was about to walk over. "Hey!" Suddenly, a voice came from behind. Tang was slightly stunned, and she turned back to look at Chen Mu. Chen Mu said lightly, "Using that thing is too slow." As he said, Tang noticed a giant ant coming over here. She looked at the giant ant. Under Tang's gaze, the giant ant's body glowed with a golden halo, and slowly the giant ant turned into a griffin. Seeing the griffin, Tang was stunned, and she subconsciously looked at Chen Mu. Chen Mu said calmly, "Can you ride a horse? The lion bull ants are like the vegetables planted by Chen Mu, and the out-of-control lion bull ants are the vegetables grown in the wild. Now it's time to harvest the vegetables, but the problem is, where is the vegetable field in the wild? Chen Mu doesn't know, so he needs a guide. And it just so happens that this human knows where it is." Tang was stunned. This griffin transformed from a lion bull ant became a mount under the control of Chen Mu's control ability. Tang rode on the back of the griffin and helped Chen Mu to point the way. Chen Mu also became a griffin. The two griffins flew in parallel towards the target together. The reason why Chen Mu did this was because Chen Mu planned to talk to this human. As a giant bird, he was too big. With his wings spread, it was basically difficult to communicate unless he let her sit on his head because the distance was too far. Of course, wanting to ride on Chen Mu's back was like looking for death with a lantern in the toilet. If she was on a helicopter, it would probably be difficult to communicate with the noise of the helicopter propellers. The system converts information transmission into language sounds, and for animals, it is directly transmitted into the brain. When humans communicate with Chen Mu, the system only acts as a translator. If the sound is disturbed, it will still be disturbed. This is just right now. Chen Mu said, "Let me ask you, why do you keep calling me a divine beast?" Tang rode on the back of the griffin. It was her first time riding on this strange beast mentioned in Western mythology, and she was still a little confused. She was afraid that she would fall, so she chose to lie tightly on the back of the griffin, holding the griffin's neck with her hands to avoid falling. When she heard the voice coming from the side, she came back to her senses and looked at Chen Mu beside her. Facing Chen Mu's eyes, Tang said, You are a phoenix, and the phoenix is a divine beast." "Ah!" Chen Mu was stunned. How did he become a phoenix? Didn't he say that he was a blue phoenix before? Chen Mu thought about it and retracted his gaze. He remembered the picture he saw when he looked at himself with his consciousness vision before. Indeed, if you look at it from the appearance alone, you really look like the phoenix in Oriental mythology. 5 peacock-like phoenix tails, plus flame-like red feathers, really look like a phoenix. But Chen Mu knew very well that he was not. It was just a coincidence that the genes of the three animals, the blue whale, the albatross, and the peacock, happened to make him look like a phoenix. The phoenix was a creature imagined by the ancients, and Chen Mu's current body structure was composed of 3 real genes, which were naturally completely different. It took about 3 hours to fly. Chen Mu gradually saw the lion bull ants coming and going below, looking for food. Looking at the queen lion bull ant, Chen Mu opened his consciousness and took a look. Everything he saw shocked Chen Mu. There was a city ahead, and that city had become dilapidated at this moment, with potholes everywhere. Groups of lion bull ants were walking around, as if looking for food. In addition to the lion bull ants, there were also pits bombed by missiles. The earth was charred and the trees turned into charcoal. In the 10,000-meter radius in front of him, there was no other life except the lion bull ants. There were no humans, animals, or plants. The lion bull ants invaded Jialan from the south, and this was the first place where the lion bull ants invaded. Tang said, we used various weapons to bomb and sent troops to attack the nests of the lion bull ants. We paid a huge price and successfully destroyed several nests, but these lion bull ants reproduced too fast. Nonsense, Chen Mu said subconsciously. The lion bull ants have the genes of marching ants in their bodies. When it comes to reproduction, what can compare with ants? Chen Mu's body turned into a huge phoenix, and he pounced down quickly. There were too many of these lion bull ants, densely packed. And for Chen Mu, these densely packed lion bull ants were his own evolutionary energy. Devour. The devouring ability was used. Chen Mu's huge body was armored, and the buildings were smashed by Chen Mu. All the lion bull ants that Chen Mu touched were swallowed by Chen Mu. The lion bull ants saw the creature. They immediately rushed towards Chen Mu like a black wave, and then the lion bull ants like the wave turned into golden energy one by one and were swallowed by Chen Mu. They had no wisdom at all and desperately attacked Chen Mu. Chen Mu noticed this scene. He said, "Don't you recognize me? That's good." The lion bull ants raised by Chen Mu all regarded Chen Mu as a king. Not only did they not attack Chen Mu, but they also obeyed Chen Mu's orders. But this group of lion bull ants did not know Chen Mu at all and directly regarded him as an enemy. A lot of ants. After the nest was divided, it became two nests. When the ants in the two nests met, even if they were the same species of ants, they would fight. Ants in the same nest will have a unique chemical smell between each other. Through the difference in this smell, the ants can determine whether the other party is on their side. But if it is divided into two nests, the smell of ants in the two nests will be different. In this way, when the ants in the two nests meet, they will fight. Just like Chen Mu at this moment, when he met these lion bull ants. Ants, especially marching ants, are creatures that are not afraid of death at all. No matter what creature they encounter, no matter how big the creature is, as long as they meet, they will gather the strength of all their companions to tear the other party apart and eat it alive. These lion bull ants obviously inherited these characteristics of ants. Just like a black tide, they began to gather here frantically from all directions. Attack Chen Mu. Of course, the moment they came into contact with Chen Mu, before they opened their claws to attack, they would turn into golden light and be swallowed by Chen Mu with just a touch. Countless lion bull ants flew into Chen Mu's arms like moths to a flame and were swallowed up by Chen Mu. Successfully obtained evolutionary energy, and the current evolutionary energy progress is 2%. The voice of the system sounded in Chen Mu's ears for a long time. Hearing this voice, Chen Mu was immediately satisfied. This is so comfortable. In the past 6 months, Chen Mu had only obtained nearly 1% of the evolutionary energy progress, and in less than an hour, the evolutionary energy progress from nearly 1% to 2%. This is so comfortable. Chen Mu looked around and didn't see other lion bull ants. He looked at Tang, who was staring at this side in amazement, and said, "Lead the way, the next place. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first." Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 135. Tang led the way, Chen Mu followed Tang, looking for lion bull ants and devouring them. While devouring, he couldn't help but think of one thing. Am I using the two-legged apes of Jialan country as feed to feed the lion bull ants? Using the two-legged apes as feed, after half a year, devour these lion bull ants and turn them into its own evolutionary energy. This method is really like what a ferocious beast would do. Of course, all this is just an accident for Chen Mu. And this accident brought Chen Mu endless evolutionary energy. In the past 6 months, these lion bull ants have divided countless ant nests and countless queens. You know, the queen will give birth to 6 eggs that can become the next queen or king at a time, as well as more than 1,000 winged male ants, which can become new ant colonies. After a queen settles down and has a stable food supply, it means that countless lion bull ants and countless queens and kings can be created every once in a while. That is not as simple as 1 changing to 2. It may be one changing to 3 or 4 at the beginning. Later, the queens and kings of each ant nest began to fly and marry. The number of new ant nests that can be produced by just one flying marriage is a very terrifying number. Without Chen Mu's control, most of the territory of Jialan country was taken away in the past 6 months. In that large part of the territory, all animals, all humans, and all plants became food for these endless lion bull ants. All Chen Mu could see along the way was only charred land, broken buildings, and the land that had turned into a desert, and of course those dense and endless lion bull ants. Successfully obtained evolutionary energy, and the current progress of evolutionary energy is 3%. Successfully obtained evolutionary energy, and the current progress of evolutionary energy is 4%. 5%. 6%. 10%. 20%. 50%. 99%. Although it was harvesting vegetables, Chen Mu still needed to do it himself. Eat, you have to eat by yourself. The distribution area of these lion bull ants is too wide, and there are too many of them. It took Chen Mu half a month. Finally, these lion bull ants were almost dealt with. And on this day, Chen Mu heard the familiar and surprising voice. Successfully obtained evolutionary energy, and the current evolutionary energy progress is 100%. Congratulations on obtaining 100% evolutionary energy progress, start evolving. It's been almost a year, and it's finally full. Somewhat excited. He was not excited about what he could evolve into next, but what kind of ability he could get next. Chen Mu was wrapped in golden light. Tang, who was next to him, looked at Chen Mu's changes, and her eyes were full of doubts. Master Divine Beast. Chen Mu's whole body turned into a ball of light, and the ball of light began to shrink and gradually became smaller. Soon, the ball of light shrank to the size of a fist. Tang was confused. Suddenly, under Tang's gaze, the ball of light went straight up to the sky, and under her gaze, it turned into a meteor and disappeared into the night sky. Tang Zhen was standing on the desertified land, looking at the scene in front of her, but she didn't know what to do for a moment. There were fewer lion bull ants in Jialan country, and almost no lion bull ants could be seen outside. But half a month after Chen Mu left, one after another, lion bull ants ran out of the ant nests of lion bull ants. As the lion bull ants began to reproduce again, Jialan country once again became a purgatory on earth. Chen Mu did devour countless lion bull ants, but the problem was that Chen Mu never personally went to find the queen ants hiding underneath. What he devoured were just some worker ants and soldier ants. As soon as Chen Mu left, the queen lion bull ant began to reproduce again, and the entire Jialan country once again became a purgatory on earth. On the other side, when Chen Mu was devoured by the golden light, his consciousness disappeared. I don't know how long it took. Chen Mu came back to his senses. It's so cold. As soon as Chen Mu regained consciousness, he immediately felt the cold. This chill came from all over his body. What's going on? Chen Mu was a little confused. Just a moment ago, Chen Mu was still in the African continent where the temperature was relatively high, but now he felt cold. This made Chen Mu confused. He came back to his senses and looked around first. At first glance, everything he saw made Chen Mu slightly stunned. The picture he saw was not what the normal naked eye saw, but a night vision device that looked like thermal imaging. This is... Could it be? Chen Mu subconsciously opened his conscious vision and looked at himself. At first glance, he found that the place where he was full of dense forests, and he himself was perched on the branches of a big tree. His body was slender and slim. This is a snake. Snake. Seeing this, Chen Mu understood. Every evolution will have something, either evolving directly on the spot, or being transported to another place by the system and becoming another creature. And this time he obviously became an animal. Could it be that I feel cold? It is night now, and the temperature around is relatively low. Snakes are cold-blooded animals and are very sensitive to temperature. Snakes are much more sensitive to temperature than humans. Ordinary snakes are cold-fearing creatures. If they stay below 5 degrees Celsius for a period of time, they will be frozen to death. Some large snakes, such as pythons, will die at 10 degrees Celsius. Of course, snakes can hibernate, but this does not mean that snakes will not die in hibernation. If the temperature is always low, some snakes will die while sleeping, so most snakes like places with higher temperatures. Humans are warm-blooded animals. If the body is too cold, the body will use some methods, such as speeding up its metabolism to lose energy in the body to convert it into temperature. If the body is overheated, it will sweat through sweat glands to dissipate excess heat in the body. As cold-blooded animals, snakes cannot maintain a constant temperature and cannot maintain their own body temperature. The only way for them to raise their body temperature is to find an external heat source. The most common way is to find a place to bask in the sun to get temperature. When the temperature is sufficient, the body can return to normal. If the temperature is lower than the body's needs, the snake will become very lazy and even stop moving. Movement also dissipates heat. When some people catch snakes at night, they will not catch them directly at first, but will choose to tease the snakes with a long stick. This forces the snake to move when it cannot obtain heat energy, and movement will lose heat. After teasing for a while, the snake loses a lot of heat, and even loses the ability to resist, and can only be caught obediently. Of course, for Chen Mu, it doesn't matter. He turned his body and turned into a griffin, standing on the treetop. After turning into a griffin, the body temperature naturally recovered. He flapped his wings and flew up. Congratulations on completing the evolution and getting the evolution reward, gene editing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 136. Gene editing? What? Chen Mu said, System, gene editing, what is it? Gene editing allows you to edit the genes of living things. After editing, you can use gluttony evolution to obtain these genes, the system slowly explained in its unique mechanical voice without any emotion. Although Chen Mu was not stupid, he did not understand the extremely abstract explanation of the system at all. Chen Mu said, can you explain it in a little more detail? The system was silent for a while. It went on to explain, to be specific, you can directly edit part of the genes of a certain organism, just like turning the organism into paper. You can cut out part of the structure of the organism. Chen Mu's heart moved. He got it? In other words, for example, Chen Mu previously wanted genes for the huge size of blue whales and flight genes for birds. It was just that at that time, Chen Mu could only use gluttony evolution to gamble like a bet on luck, and then he bet on a giant bird like Dapen. And now this gene editing, that is to say, allows Chen Mu to break down the genes of living things, and then select the genes through gene editing, and then use those edited genes to combine with his own body, and then he can carry out new evolution. What? Warm reminder, when gene editing is used, it must be combined with the original genes to be successful. Otherwise, it can only be edited but not fused, came the mechanical voice of the system. Hearing this voice, the corner of Chen Mu's mouth twitched. This reminder is not warm at all. In other words, I can only use snakes to fuse the edited genes. It would be too cold to turn into a snake now. Chen Mu didn't want to feel the cold. In any case, let's talk about body size genes first. Although it was night, it did not affect Chen Mu. Let's do it first and then talk about it. Thinking about it, Chen Mu opened his consciousness and glanced at the dense forest. Soon, Chen Mu saw a cricket chirping happily. Saw that cricket? Chen Mu's body glowed with golden light, and his size grew larger in an instant. Transformed into a huge phoenix. He uses mastery on the cricket, then uses shear and transform. The tiny cricket glowed with golden light in the blink of an eye, and its size also grew. In an instant, its entire body turned into a huge phoenix. As soon as the phoenix appeared, the trees around it were directly squeezed away by the huge body. With bursts of loud noises, swaths of trees fell down. Crying. The birds that were resting in the trees were so frightened that they screamed and flew away. Chen Mu flapped his wings and flew in the air, looking at the phoenix below that was controlled by his control ability. He also slowly flapped his wings and landed. Gene editing. Chen Mu used his gene editing ability on the phoenix in front of him. Start gene editing. The target has been selected. What genes need to be programmed? The system's mechanical voice sounded in Chen Mu's ears. Hearing this voice, Chen Mu was slightly startled. With this ability, do I need your help? He never expected that the system would come out. If you don't need my help, I can let you operate it. The system's voice is emotionless and robotic, just like the smart voice in the car. Chen Mu said, well, let me try it myself first. He wanted to see if he could master this ability. If he could operate it by himself without the need for the system, that would naturally be the best. Along with Chen Mu's voice fell. A huge screen appeared in front of Chen Mu. One word after another appeared on the screen, and these words were densely packed. This screen is huge, estimated to be 5 meters wide and 6 meters high. The text is normal size, the size humans use when writing. However, even with such small text, these words are still densely packed, filling the huge screen. Chen Mu was stunned for a moment. Because he couldn't understand some of these terms at all. Upon seeing it, Chen Mu felt his head go numb. How can gene editing be so easy to master? Chen Mu said, well, the system, this ability, I think I need your help. Start gene editing. The target has been selected. What genes need to be programmed? The system's emotionless voice sounded. The screen in front of Chen Mu disappeared. Hear this. Chen Mu stared at the phoenix in front of him and said, I need genes about its size. Editing. Genes related to body size. Genes are growth genes and pre-growth genes. The reason why the blue whale can grow so huge is because the blue whale lacks pre-programmed growth genes, so it can grow wildly. However, in order to adapt to the environment, blue whales will grow slowly after a period of time. Also lacking in prefabricated genes is the liger we are familiar with. Similarly, its size has also become very large. A golden transparent bead appeared in front of Chen Mu. Edited successfully. Chen Mu looked at the bead in front of him, which was the size of an adult's thumb. Is this thing the body shape gene? Chen Mu's eyes fell on the phoenix in front of him. Chen Mu is a snake, can he add wings to the snake? Don't worry about it for now, let's get the gene fragment down first. Chen Mu said, I need the target's wing gene. Editing. Another bead appeared in front of Chen Mu. Claws are not bad either, claws are weapons that can add weapons to snakes. Give me a claw gene. Editing. Another bead appeared. Chen Mu was thinking. What about the bird's beak? The bird's beak is definitely not as useful as snake teeth and snake venom, no. What about feathers? Snakes have feathers, too much, and snakes have scales, which have much stronger defense than feathers, no. Okay, let's do this first. Editing completed. As the voice fell, the phoenix in front of Chen Mu turned into golden light and slowly dissipated. Seeing this, Chen Mu was slightly startled. In other words, will the target die after being edited? In other words, his ability cannot be used on himself, using it is equivalent to suicide. Chen Mu raised his head and looked at the dark sky. Next, when it gets light and it's not so cold anymore, I can turn into a snake and use gluttony evolution to devour these beads and evolve. Wait a minute. Chen Mu frowned. Why don't I just turn the snake from a cold-blooded animal into a warm-blooded animal? Isn't it enough to get a warm-blooded gene? With the ability to edit genes, he forgot about it in excitement. Forget it, it's still in time to edit now. Chen Mu once again found a creature, used the ability to change it into a griffin, and then wrote a warm-blooded gene. After that, he turned back into a snake. 4 beads emitting golden halos floated in front of Chen Mu's eyes. He opened his mouth and swallowed the beads one by one. Gluttony evolution in an instant, Chen Mu's body was wrapped in golden light. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 137. The first ray of sunlight came from the direction of the mountains to the east and fell in the woods. The golden light emitted by the light ball located on the branch also slowly dissipated. A brand new creature was revealed inside. That's a little snake. The only difference between this little snake and other little snakes is that it has a pair of wings on its back, and it also has a chest. The chest is obviously slightly more bulging than the snake's body, and you can feel the strong muscles in the chest. There are 2 sharp claws on the left and right sides of the chest. Behind the little snake, there is a pair of claws. This is clearly a small snake with 4 claws and a pair of wings. Perhaps, it can no longer be called a snake at this moment. But its body is still that of a snake, with snake scales, a snake body and a snake head. Chen Mu looked at himself at this moment through his consciousness. Chen Mu raised his paw and subconsciously touched his strong chest. Snakes have chests? What's going on? The mechanical voice of the system sounded. In order to ensure that the genes can be used normally, some modifications will be made to the body structure when the gluttony evolution is combined. If you want the wings to be used normally, you must have corresponding muscles and for breathing, strong lungs, and if you want muscles you have to have a sternum. Is this the special effect brought about by gene editing combined with gluttonous evolution? Indeed, this reminded Chen Mu of the deaths of those creatures caused by his previous experiments. If you want to have wings and give them the power to fly, then strong chest muscles and powerful lungs are indispensable. Some mammals also have the ability to fly. That is a bat, and a bat has well-developed chest muscles, but its lungs are different from those of birds. The lungs of birds can take 2 breaths, while the lungs of bats can only take 1 breath. Therefore, although bats can fly, they cannot fly. It can't fly high or far, and it can't take off from the same spot. Therefore, the system automatically added these for Chen Mu. That's really smart. Chen Mu nodded with satisfaction. He looked at his body again, and when he saw it, Chen Mu was slightly startled, and he realized something was wrong again. Wait a minute, this is wrong, Chen Mu said subconsciously. My body, why is it so small? He looked at his body and found that his body was now the size of a normal little snake. Isn't this completely nonsense? Didn't he just swallow the size gene? What you get through gene editing is genes. You already have a powerful body shape gene, but if you want to gain a huge body size, you need to get enough energy and grow up day by day. The system's emotionless voice came. Chen Mu could only remain silent. It seems that this gene editing has both good and bad aspects. This gene editing can only change the genes of one's body, but cannot make the body grow up instantly. Sure enough, gene editing is gene editing, just editing genes. However, it's normal. It's just gene editing. It doesn't swallow the other party directly. It's true that you can't get the other party's energy. Well, if I use my devouring ability now, can I make my body grow faster? Chen Mu asked subconsciously. The phagocytosis ability allows you to increase your evolutionary energy progress while also growing in size, but that is the growth brought to you by the ability and has nothing to do with your own genes, the system said. With what you have currently in terms of the required evolution energy progress, The size you can gain by acquiring evolution energy progress is far less rapid than the size you can gain by eating directly. In other words, if you want to get in shape quickly now, you still rely on eating, because it is fast after all. Goo 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 goo. Suddenly, Chen Mu heard a cooing sound. I'm hungry. Chen Mu flapped his wings, got down on all fours, jumped, and flew up. He was flying in mid-air, muttering, "Find something to eat first." Chen Mu opened his consciousness and observed the forest from a high position. The area covered by this forest is very wide, and there is no human atmosphere at all. This is obviously a deep mountain forest. There is also a large river in the middle of this deep mountain and old forest. It is estimated to be a freshwater river. It's a pretty big river, I don't know where it goes, Chen Mu muttered. Suddenly, Chen Mu's heart moved. Chen Mu noticed that beside the long freshwater river, there was a creature lying on the riverside basking in the sun. Crocodile. What does crocodile meat taste like? Chen Mu suddenly became interested. Chen Mu's body turned into a griffin and he pounced towards the crocodile. At this moment, his speed tripled. The whole body is covered with silver armor. Lift up those sharp front paws. The crocodile's pupils condensed slightly, and it moved, subconsciously wanting to run into the river. Puff, the sharp claws directly pierced the crocodile's head. As a griffin, Chen Mu stood beside the crocodile and held the crocodile down firmly. The head of the crocodile body was directly pierced, and the body struggled for a while and then stopped moving. Chen Mu used the sharp griffin's beak to tear open the crocodile's body, exposing the meat inside. Because the griffin is not Chen Mu's true body, if the griffin is allowed to eat, there will be no way to grow in size. So now the griffin can only do the preparations for breakfast. Those who want to enjoy breakfast can only enjoy it with the true body. After getting it, Chen Mu's body glowed with golden light, and his body turned into a snake with wings and limbs. He stood up and folded his wings. He opened his mouth subconsciously, but when he opened his mouth, he did not move. Chen Mu slowly closed his mouth and stood there for a long time. This, you. Chen Mu couldn't help but jump up. He always had a good temper, but at this moment, he couldn't help but swear. Eat shit. Even if Chen Mu killed the crocodile with a griffin, tore the skin and flesh of the crocodile, exposing the flesh and blood, and wanted the main body to eat. But after turning into the main body, Chen Mu suddenly realized one thing. Snake. It depends on swallowing. Snakes are different from birds. Although birds, like snakes, also depend on swallowing, the edge of the bird's beak is like a blade, which can bite the meat and tear the meat into small pieces for swallowing, but what about snakes? Snakes have teeth, but they can't bite, that is, they can't bite meat into small pieces. Snakes need to swallow their prey whole and digest it. That's right, if Chen Mu wants to eat the crocodile in front of him, he needs to eat the whole crocodile. Isn't this nonsense? Chen Mu's current body size is not as big as the tail of the adult crocodile in front of him, and his thickness and length are not as good as the tail of the adult crocodile. Not to mention swallowing an adult crocodile. Of course, there is another way, which is to use the griffin to tear the crocodile in front of him into pieces of meat bit by bit, and then he will change back to his original body and eat it bit by bit. Chen Mu suddenly felt like vomiting, which was too troublesome. Suddenly, Chen Mu sensed the movement, and he subconsciously looked back. I saw a crocodile in the river not far away, with its head exposed, looking at this side. See the crocodile. Chen Mu's eyes lit up slightly, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly, spitting out his tongue. Since the snake's mouth can't eat, why don't I just change my head and mouth? Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 138. Chen Mu adjusted his posture and looked at the crocodile underwater. The crocodile stared at Chen Mu and slowly swam towards him. It was obvious that it was targeting Chen Mu. Chen Mu said, "Gene editing." As Chen Mu's voice fell, the crocodile in front, which was Chen Mu's target, suddenly stopped moving. Chen Mu was a little surprised when he saw this. He looked more and found that there was a looming golden square cage next to the crocodile. The cage bound the crocodile and made it unable to move. Last night, when Chen Mu edited the body of the phoenix, there was no such situation. In other words, because the crocodile was not under his control, he would control it when the gene editing ability was used to facilitate editing. The target has been selected and gene editing is in progress. "What genes do you need to write?" the system's mechanical voice came. Hearing this voice, Chen Mu said, "I need the crocodile's head and its teeth to eat." Editing. At this time, a golden sphere appeared in front of Chen Mu. "Compilation is completed. Do you need other genes?" "No," Chen Mu said lightly. As Chen Mu finished speaking, the crocodile's body turned into golden light and dissipated. Chen Mu looked at the golden sphere in front of him, opened his mouth and swallowed the golden sphere. Gluttony evolution. Accompanied by a burst of golden light. Chen Mu's whole body was covered with golden light. Not long after, the golden color dissipated. A brand new creature appeared by the river. Chen Mu's consciousness returned, and he opened his consciousness and looked at himself. At first glance, so ugly. This was Chen Mu's first impression, really ugly. Chen Mu now has the body of a snake, with wings and limbs. These are nothing, but that head is connected to the head of a crocodile. Although the color is the same as other parts, the head of the crocodile still looks a bit ugly. Gurgle. Chen Mu heard his stomach growling again. The problem of ugliness will be considered later. Fill your stomach first. Chen Mu opened his mouth and bit the crocodile meat in front of him. Bit it? Something is wrong. Chen Mu immediately felt something was wrong. Chen Mu took another bite, bit it tightly, and then tore it. But he was small, so he didn't use enough force, and it didn't work. Chen Mu bit it tightly, and then pulled it hard, and he suddenly felt a pain in the root of his teeth. He opened his mouth quickly. A mouthful of teeth fell from his mouth and landed on the ground. Seeing this, Chen Mu was in tears. Humans and most mammals have alveolar teeth, which have roots and can chew and tear meat well. But crocodiles have many teeth, but their teeth are terminal teeth, which are teeth without roots. These teeth are easily damaged and difficult to chew. However, the bite force of the crocodile's jaw is very strong. If they encounter small prey, they will swallow it directly. If they encounter large prey, they will pull it into the water, then use the bite force to bite it tightly, and then roll their bodies in the river, twist their bodies, use the bite force to drive the bitten meat, tear the meat off the prey, and then swallow it. But despite this, crocodiles still cause their teeth to fall off or be damaged when eating. However, this set of easily damaged teeth also has an advantage, that is, new teeth can grow out quickly to replace the damaged and fallen teeth. Of course, this is not a good thing for Chen Mu, who is currently small in size. He doesn't want to learn from crocodiles and roll in the river to pull meat to eat. "I can only change my teeth." Chen Mu looked around and his eyes fell on a fish swimming in the river. He used his control ability to control the fish, and the fish swam out of the river and landed on the shore. The fish glowed with golden light and slowly grew in size. It turned into a white tiger. This is exactly what Chen Mu transformed into with his control ability, ability sharing, and transformation ability. Chen Mu had the experience of turning into a white tiger, so he could naturally turn other creatures into tigers. Gene editing. "I need the target's teeth," Chen Mu said. Of course, Chen Mu could also choose to change to a tiger's head, but that would be too weird. After all, he was covered in scales, and the tiger's head was obviously not suitable for the snake's body. It would probably be uglier if he used it. More importantly, Chen Mu hoped to preserve the bite force of the crocodile. Although the crocodile's teeth were not good, its bite force was very good. The tiger's bite force was not as good as that of the crocodile. So changing teeth is the best choice. Editing the system's emotionless mechanical voice sounded. A golden ball of light appeared in front of Chen Mu. Chen Mu opened his mouth and bit it. Gluttony evolution. The tiger turned into white golden light and disappeared. And after Chen Mu's body swallowed the ball of light, his body was also covered by golden light. The golden light disappeared again. Chen Mu opened his mouth slightly. Through his conscious vision, he could see the neatly arranged teeth in his mouth, including the tiger's canine teeth, which made him look much more handsome. Not bad. Chen Mu was satisfied. He approached the adult crocodile and began to bite and eat it comfortably. However, at this moment, a voice sounded in Chen Mu's ears. Congratulations on your successful evolution. You get the evolution reward, race creation. Chen Mu heard, evolution. Chen Mu's heart moved. He remembered, that's right. He forgot when it started. Every evolution will get 2 evolution rewards. The last time he evolved into a snake, he only got 1 reward. Is this the second one? Are the 2 rewards still obtained immediately, one fast and one slow? However, thinking that he had also obtained evolution rewards quickly and slowly before, Chen Mu didn't think much about it. But, what does this race creation mean? Chen Mu said, what is race creation? Race creation allows you to create your own race. You can create life with your genes without limit. Those lives will have independent thoughts. They will have blood ties with you. As long as you are injured, they will also be injured. If you die, they will also die. No matter what happens, they will not affect you. You can use this ability to create your own race, and you can use them to do something. The voice of the system sounded slowly, as usual, introducing this new ability to Chen Mu. After listening, Chen Mu thought for a while. It sounds similar to reproduction, but it is different from reproduction. This should be the same as the situation of Nuwa making clay figures in mythology. Although Chen Mu has realized that this thing has some bugs after getting along with the system for some time, he did not expect it to be so buggy. However, thinking back, this system can make oneself alive when it is broken into pieces, so what's wrong with creating some creatures? Create a race, and the condition is that the race must have the genes of its own body. And its own body should refer to the snake, right? Chen Mu was a little excited. Should he try it? It must be tried. If you don't try the newly acquired ability, wouldn't it be an idiot? But before that, fill your stomach first. Chen Mu filled his stomach. Chen Mu walked to the river and drank a sip of water. While drinking water, he happened to see what he looked like now. Looking at the ugly self in the river. Chen Mu frowned. This won't do. If you want to create your own race, the creatures in that race must look similar to you. But this is too ugly. Next, we need to deal with the appearance issue. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 139. The reason why Chen Mu looks ugly now is because the snake body is connected to the crocodile head, which looks too weird. If I want to make myself, who looks like a stitched monster, look better, what should I do? Chen Mu was thinking. Suddenly, Chen Mu had an idea. That is to decorate myself. Decorate my appearance. Purpose, Chen Mu saw a group of black creatures swimming in front of him. It was a group of shrimps. I almost forgot, Chen Mu said, gene editing. He locked one of the shrimps and used gene editing. The shrimp's body could not move. The target has been locked. What gene do you need to edit? The system's voice sounded slowly. Chen Mu said, I need a shrimp respiratory system, and I want to keep the original respiratory system. The respiratory system that Chen Mu currently has is a bird respiratory system suitable for flying that was replaced when Chen Mu obtained the wing gene. This respiratory system is very advanced and belongs to the secondary respiratory system, but this respiratory system cannot dive. Therefore, Chen Mu needs another set of respiratory system that can go into the water. Shrimp is just right. Editing. A small golden ball appeared in front of Chen Mu as the voice sounded. Chen Mu didn't say anything and ate it directly. Gluttony evolution. The golden light enveloped Chen Mu, and when the golden light disappeared, Chen Mu came back to his senses. After he came back to his senses, something appeared in front of him. What is this? Whisker. Chen Mu saw his appearance clearly through his consciousness. He found that he had two long whiskers, just like the whiskers of shrimp. When the system edited its genes, in order to prevent the body from conflicting with certain structures, it would make some adjustments, similar to adding bird wings. It would help Chen Mu get bird lungs and develop chest muscles to prevent the wings from being unusable. This shrimp whisker probably has the same function. Chen Mu said, System, what is the use of this shrimp whisker? Shrimp whiskers have a sense of touch and smell, which can sense the environmental conditions in the water and help the respiratory system function normally. The system said, without shrimp whiskers, you have no way to know the quality of the water, nor the oxygen content in the water. To put it simply, shrimp whiskers are equivalent to the nose of shrimps, which can help breathing. In this way, he could go into the water. His body was originally the body of a snake, and these scales were adapted to underwater life, not to mention the crocodile head. Then, oh, my appearance, Chen Mu muttered. This matter is still a big deal, and it needs to be dealt with. Snakes themselves are not so good looking. The main reason why animals look ugly is that they are bald. Like shaved dogs and cats, but it will give people an ugly feeling. In other words, would it be better to add some hair to yourself? Do it as soon as you say it. Hair, the best hair, is lion's mane. This is not difficult. Chen Mu randomly found a creature, turned it into a griffin, and then edited the griffin's hair. Install it on himself. Chen Mu looked at himself, who was bald except for his head, through his conscious vision. He frowned. He found another creature, turned it into a sailfish, and then edited the sailfish's fins and integrated its genes into his body. Fins appeared on the back. Fins were everywhere. Chen Mu stood on the crocodile and took a bite of crocodile meat. 30% chicken flavor, 70% fish flavor, this crocodile tastes better than those sheep and deer. Chen Mu looked at his appearance through his consciousness. Now it looks much more comfortable. It just looks like something is missing. What is missing? Chen Mu finished all the crocodile meat, and it was already evening of the same day. In just about a day, Chen Mu found that his body size had doubled. Before, Chen Mu's body was only as thick as 2 adult fingers, but now Chen Mu's body is as thick as an adult's wrist. Chen Mu landed on all fours, jumped up, and with the help of the height generated by the jump, he flapped his wings again. The whole body flew directly into the air and flew directly into the air. The wind was howling. But Chen Mu found a problem that made him depressed and headache. Although Chen Mu had wings, and they were big enough, the power generated by the wings could only lift half of Chen Mu's body, and the rest of his body could only be hung in the air by the power. At this moment, Chen Mu was like a long rope, with the front end hung in the air by the wings, and the back end could only hang down due to gravity. It was as ugly as it could be. At the beginning, Chen Mu didn't feel so strong, but now as his body grew, the weight of the half of his body behind him made Chen Mu very depressed. But in this situation, Chen Mu had no way to solve it, so he could only hang like this. Suddenly, At this moment, Chen Mu's conscious vision caught a black shadow passing over a tree. His eyes slightly condensed, that is. The scene in front of him shocked Chen Mu. I saw a slender snake swimming in the air. It was a snake, a flying snake. The snake was actually flying in the air. The snake stared ahead, moving in an S-shaped motion in the air at a very fast speed. Suddenly, it landed on another big tree and bit a bird that was dazed on the tree. The bird struggled for a while, then stopped moving. Golden flower snake. Chen Mu recognized the identity of the snake. The golden flower snake is also called the flying snake. This is a kind of snake that lives on trees all year round. Their most special ability is to fly. In fact, the golden flower snake does not fly, but glides. The body of the golden flower snake is very special. When they want to fly from one tree to another, if the distance between the trees is too far, they will use the muscles of the whole body to make a jump. This one can jump very high and far. After jumping up, they will shrink the bones of the body, and the whole snake body will become very flat. Then it is like using the ribs as the wings of birds. Although the ribs cannot flap, after opening them like this, they can glide like a bird. There are records of golden snakes, and the farthest golden snake can even glide a distance of dozens of meters. Chen Mu's eyes lit up. With this thing, the problem of being suspended and flying will be solved. Chen Mu flapped his wings and approached the golden snake from top to bottom. Gene editing. I want the gliding ability of my golden snake. The system understood what Chen Mu meant. Start editing. Accompanied by the appearance of the golden bead. Chen Mu opened his mouth and swallowed the golden bead into his stomach in one gulp. Gluttony evolution. Become a sea squirt larva and eat a brain first. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 140. After Chen Mu acquired the gliding ability of the golden snake, he felt much more comfortable. He spread his wings and flattened his body slightly to glide by riding the rising air currents. This feeling is really great. The more Chen Mu played, the more confident he became. He slowly folded his wings and glided in the air, just like swimming in the sea. Of course, at the beginning, he was not so used to gliding with this body, so Chen Mu still needed to flap his wings to increase his altitude. This feeling is very wonderful, different from gliding with wings. Gliding with the body can perfectly feel the wind under the body. The feeling of sticking the body to the rising air currents and riding the wind is really enjoyable. Gugugu. Just before he called a few times, a voice sounded. I'm hungry. This is too fast. It's only been more than an hour since I finished eating crocodile meat. Hungry is hungry, let's find prey first. Chen Mu looked around, and suddenly, his sight fell not far away. That's a group of deer. Chen Mu didn't expect that there were deer in this place. It seems that the distribution range of deer is quite wide. And the deer are not small, and they are in groups. Chen Mu's body turned into a griffin and pounced on one of the deer. Although Chen Mu's overall size has grown rapidly, no matter how fast it grows, it has only been a day, and his body is only as thick as his wrist. If you want to hunt large prey like deer, you have to rely on griffins. Bang! With the help of 3 times the speed acceleration and biological armor, Chen Mu directly crushed the head of a deer. The deer died before he even reacted, and his body lay on the ground trembling. When the other deer saw this scene, they turned around and ran away. They scattered all at once. Chen Mu slowly turned into his original body, stepped on the back of the dead deer, and with the bite force of the crocodile and the teeth of the tiger, he tore the prey and put the meat into his mouth to eat. While eating, Chen Mu looked around. His sight fell on the deer in the distance. Chen Mu found that the antlers of the male deer were quite beautiful, and they were different from the antlers of other deer. Chen Mu didn't know that the deer he met were called somber deer. The reason why they are called somber deer is that somber deer like water very much, so they are called somber deer. Deer antlers are different from deer to deer. For example, the antlers of moose are connected together, and there are many antlers. When connected together, they look like an inverted mushroom cap. The horns of somber deer are relatively simple and straightforward, which is more in line with aesthetics. Chen Mu now knows what he lacks. Isn't it just a pair of horns for decoration? With the lion's mane and the antlers of the somber deer, wouldn't it be much more handsome? Chen Mu raised his body and stared at one of the somber deer. Gene editing. The target has been locked, please ask. Chen Mu didn't wait for the system to talk nonsense, and directly said, I want the target's horn. Editing. A golden sphere appeared in front of Chen Mu. Chen Mu opened his mouth and swallowed it in one gulp. Gluttony evolution. As gluttony evolution was used, Chen Mu's body was wrapped in golden light. Slowly, the golden light ball reconstructed a body. A brand new creature appeared above the deer's body, it was Chen Mu. This creature had a head similar to that of a crocodile, two long shrimp whiskers next to its nose, a pair of somber horns melted on its head, a lion's mane behind it, a snake's body, limbs and claws melted from lions and vultures under it, and a dorsal fin of a swordfish on its back. There was also a pair of huge wings behind it. Because after the fusion, in order to make the creature as a whole reasonable, the system will make some minor adjustments to the body. At this moment, Chen Mu had black scales on his body. Although they were the body structures of different creatures, they seemed reasonable when fused together. It's just that Chen Mu's size is still a little small. Of course, Chen Mu doesn't care. At this moment, he just needs to eat and eat every day, let the normal development continue, and his body will grow wildly, because he has the growth gene of the blue whale in his body. Chen Mu looked at the appearance of the surroundings, and he was slightly stunned. Is this a dragon? Chen Mu never expected that he would randomly piece together the biological genes he wanted, and after coming to his senses, he turned himself into another creature in mythology. The more Chen Mu looked at himself, the more he looked like it, but the dragon is a dragon, and he is him. And as an atheist, Chen Mu never believed in mythology. He didn't want to believe that the creature he randomly pieced together would be a dragon. Isn't that nonsense? However, the dragons in mythology have no wings, and they are all mixed up with clouds and rain, which is not the same as me. Speaking of moving clouds and rain, he couldn't help but think of the scene when he turned into a blue whale and sprayed water in the air. No, I seem to be able to move clouds and rain. In mythology, dragons have dragon balls, but I don't have dragon balls. Mythology is mythology, and I just look like one. Chen Mu is not a middle school student, and he is also a staunch atheist. Naturally, he would not think that a tiger with wings is a Kyanki, that would be too far-fetched. As for the system, Chen Mu only thought it was some kind of powerful technology, and these were all some kind of incomprehensible advanced technologies. After confirming that he only looked like a dragon, not a dragon, Chen Mu continued to destroy the deer in front of him. Chen Mu's stomach was obviously not small. Although he was small in size, his stomach was definitely not small. Chen Mu did not limit himself from eating, and he ate the whole deer directly, but his abdomen became much bigger. Chen Mu simply lay down on the ground and fell asleep first. In order to avoid problems, Chen Mu called out an avatar, and the avatar turned into a griffin and stood guard. Chen Mu lay down comfortably and fell asleep. Chen Mu was not in a hurry to use race creation to create his own race, he needed to take it slowly. To create his own race, he first wanted to make himself grow up, otherwise, when he created his own people, it would be too strange for those people to see that their creator could not catch a few prey with his original body, and had to change this and that. Chen Mu lived in this tropical rainforest without any trace of humans. Eat during the day and sleep at night. His appetite doubled, and his size doubled. In just half a month, Chen Mu's body length became 200 meters, and his body was even more sturdy and huge. Chen Mu was flying in the air, looking down, locking onto a deer, and he pounced on it. Before the deer could react, he directly pressed the deer down with one claw, opened his mouth, and tore the water deer in half with one bite. He opened his mouth and swallowed it directly, and an adult water deer went directly into Chen Mu's stomach in 2 bites. Chen Mu looked at the fleeing deer in front of him, and Chen Mu flew over and pounced on the deer. He grabbed one again, held it down and ate it. 2 bites ahead. After 2 water deer entered his stomach, Chen Mu was barely full. My appetite has been getting bigger and bigger recently, it seems I have to do some breeding again, Chen Mu muttered. After he was full, he raised his claws, looked at the huge claws and said, "It's time to create my own race."